Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another Honkai Star Rail video, and today we're going to do a character guide on Misha. If you're not familiar with Misha, Misha is the new 4-star character. It's currently on Black Swan and Imbibitor Lune's banners, right? And Misha is an ice destruction character, and I will say I have had a chance to try out Misha a little bit, and I do think I underestimated him a little bit. His damage was actually pretty dang impressive from what I was seeing, and obviously the aptitude showcase, they try to make them look very good. I still don't know that Misha is a character you'd want to chase, but if you're going for Imbibitor Lune or Black Swan, I think Misha is a fine character to build up that you're probably going to pull along the way. So just the general overview of how Misha works is, like I said, he's an ice destruction character, but he doesn't do typical destruction things where a lot of destruction characters either lower their own HP or lower the party HP and sacrifices that for damage. What he does, on the other hand, is he has an ultimate that his power comes from the ultimate. His regular skills won't do a ton of damage, but the ultimate gains stacks anytime an ally uses a skill point. Okay, so the idea is you want to try to get to 10 stacks before he does his ultimate, and then with those 10 stacks, the ultimate is actually going to hit kind of hard. So it's actually pretty interesting how hard. So I think he's really built around using the ultimate over and over again. So we'll kind of talk about that as we go through the build. So before we actually look at Misha's kit in detail, let's go ahead and we're going to go and take a look at some recommendations here. So we are going to go into the data bank, and let's start with light cones. Whoops, that was not the data bank. Let's start with light cones for Misha and talk about what I'd recommend. Now, the thing that's tricky with Misha is a lot of these destruction light cones have to do with losing HP, being low on health, getting hit, right? Because that's what a lot of these destruction characters want. So I think a lot of these ones that are traditionally good might not be as good on Misha, right? And if you have these premium 5-star ones, you probably want to use them on the 5-star characters. But if you want to go really premium on Misha, I think the one that stands out to me as being the most relevant is probably Jinglu's. Which I happen to have, but I would not take mine off of Jinglu for this. But it increases the crit damage by 20%, and then whenever an ally, excluding the wearer, gets attacked or loses HP, the wearer gains a stack of Eclipse up to 3 stacks, and then each stack increases the damage of the wearer's next attack by 14%. When 3 stacks are reached, it enables that attack to do defense shredding, which is very good. So the reason why I like this on Misha as your main premium option is Misha doesn't necessarily want to get hit. Misha's not built on losing HP, but this says when your allies get hit. So the idea is your allies get hit, you build these stacks, and you're building up to your next attack being very strong and defense shredding, which the idea is you'd want to build up to the ultimate getting all of that and being very strong. So I think Jinglu's is probably the premium option. I think Claire's could be okay as well. Because this one is when the wearer's hit or defeats an enemy. So you could say, Misha maybe pops a big ultimate, defeats an enemy, and then is getting more damage off of that. I think that one's solid as well. And the fact that you just get 5-star stats with it. I think what most players should do with Misha, if you're not using it on somebody else, just get this free 5-star light cone. This one is from the Simulated Universe store. It's definitely going to be fine. Whenever the wearer attacks, their attack is increased. And then it can stack up to 4 times. After a character inflicts weakness break, their damage increases by another 12%. So the idea with this one is Misha's building up to an ultimate anyways, doing a bunch of attacks, building his attack along the way, and then popping the ultimate where hopefully this is at max stack. So I think that is probably what I'd recommend to most players to go with that. For other 4-star options, I mean, the Moles Welcome You I thought was pretty solid as well, because if you just use a skill or an ultimate or a basic attack, you gain mischievous stacks, which just stacks and gives you attack, right? So I'd say those would probably be my main recommendations for Misha on the light cone. Let's go ahead and take a look at some relic options. So we'll go into here. I think for Misha, yeah, pretty much 100% here. I'm going to say just go with the Hunter of the Glacial Forest, the ice set here. The reason why is, one, you're getting ice damage, which Misha's providing, but on the 4-piece set, when you use your ultimate, your crit damage increases by 25%, and Misha's really built on the ultimate, so you're immediately getting a 25% crit damage up on this. And I think that's going to be really good. Now, you're going to want to build Misha with some crit rate because you want that crit damage to matter. So you definitely want to go crit rate. So when we're looking at the body, right, I think 100% go crit rate on this. Unless you get really good substats on your other ones to get his crit rate probably above like 50%, then go crit damage on this. But you're probably going to want crit rate, okay? And then feet, you have a couple of options, right? traditionally you'd want to go speed, but you kind of have some approaches here with Misha, right? So one approach is, do I want Misha to go slower? Well, no, I think speed is still good. Because I was going to say you want to wait for the allies to use skill points to build up the ultimate, but like Misha still needs to build up the ultimate and is going to need turns to do that. So I would say probably speed here, but if you want Misha to be a slower build, then just go attack percent there, right? And then when we look at the planner ornaments, I think you do have a few options for Misha. I think Pan-Galactic here could be okay. This is going to be for like an effect hit rate build. And what you're going to notice about Misha, the other thing I forgot to mention about his kit, the two main gimmicks are that we have the stacking into the ultimate to get really strong ultimates, but he also freezes. So effect hit rate is going to help the ability to freeze. So if you really like the disruption of Misha, I think going with this to like give more effect hit rate could be good. Otherwise, you would just go with one of your traditional sets. So like Space Sealing Station is an attack, and you're going to want a little bit of speed anyways. You could go obviously with the big speed set here on the Firmament Frontline Gilmoth. I think even some of these other ones like this Rudolent Arena one, which is going to give you more crit rate, and then you do more damage scaled on your crit rate. So if you're going very heavy crit rate build, I think you could go that one. And then even this Inert Salsado, this is the other crit rate one, but you only have to get the 50% instead of 70%. So I definitely think like you have some options here, right? And then what you want to do is on the Planner Sphere, you 100% want to go ice damage. And on the Link Rope, I think you really want to go energy regen rate, because really Misha's damage is stacked into the ultimate, so the regen rate to help the ultimate come up more is very good. And I would say, you know, I wouldn't use the excuse that, well, I always want to get the 10 stacks before I use it. I would say I would rather have the ultimate up more often and either use it at less stacks or just have the option to sit on it for a couple of attacks to let it get the 10 stacks before I use it. But I think energy regen rate is really what I would want to go there. Otherwise, you could go attack percentage or something like that. What you're going to notice with Misha, I think the most important stat on Misha, like attack percent is going to be very huge. But I think effect hit rate is going to be a pretty interesting stat for the freeze. And I think regen rate is going to be pretty good as well to help the regen. So I think there's a lot of stats and kind of ways you can go with Misha there. So that would be my recommendation on the builds. So now with the builds in place, let's go ahead and hop into a little showcase. Now, I guess I will talk about team building with Misha and how you should use him. The way I would use Misha is this. Let me go ahead and I got to get back into the aptitude showcase, and we're going to go to Misha here and we're going to hop into that. I would think of Misha as a secondary DPS character. So I'd say if you're doing a build where you want to do a duo DPS build, I would do that. I don't know that I still would want Misha to be my main DPS. But I would think of him as the secondary DPS in complement to another DPS character. And I will shout out that Imbibitor Lune is actually a very good complement to Misha, because Imbibitor Lune like eats skill points for days, which mega charges his ultimate very quickly. So there's no surprise that they paired him on a banner with Imbibitor Lune, because I actually do think they pair very well, right? Let's go ahead and look at the kit in more detail now that we got Misha up here, right? So the talent. For every skill point allies consume, Misha's ultimate gets one more hit per action, and Misha regenerates more energy. And I believe the hits per action will max at 10 stacks. When dealing damage to frozen enemies, you get extra crit damage, which is awesome. And Misha is built on freezing. I do think Misha is very interesting too if you wanted to do like an ice team comp. I think there's a lot of interest in doing that. I think could be really, so for me, I'm actually kind of bummed Misha's on these banners because I'm not pulling on these banners, but I actually kind of like Misha. I would have liked if Misha was on Sparkles because I'm going to summon for Sparkle, but I've got a lot of really well-built ice characters, and I think Misha actually be a lot of fun there, right? Basic attack is just ice damage scaled on his attack. His skill increases hits per action on the ultimate by 1 hit, deals ice damage scaled off of his attack, single target, and then deals ice damage scaled lower on the attack to the adjacent targets. So typical destruction where you're hitting 3 enemies. Misha's ultimate has 3 hits per action by default. So it's going to start at 3, and then it gets more based on the number of skill points used by your allies. It first uses a hit to deal ice damage scaled off of Misha's attack to the single target enemy. Then the rest of the hits deal ice damage scaled off of Misha's attack to single random enemies. So basically just attacks and hits around. It's very similar to how Jing Yuan's Thunder God hits, where it like randomly splats a bunch of damage based on the stacks. Very similar to that. Okay. Just before each hit lands, there's an 18% base chance to freeze the target. This is where effect hit rate comes into play, because 18 is fairly low. But if you do a very heavy effect hit rate build on Misha, you can make this freeze like very often. And with all the stacks, I mean, you're going to be freezing a bunch of enemies. You could almost freeze the whole field if you're lucky. While frozen, enemy targets can't take actions. At the start of their turn, they're going to receive additional ice damage scaled off of Misha's attack. The ultimate can possess up to 10 hits per action. After the ultimate is used, the hits per action are reset. Before the ultimate's first hit lands, increases the base chance of freezing by 80%. So the first hit probably will freeze, but it's all the subsequent hits that you really want that effect hit rate for. And then when using the ultimate, increases effect hit rate by 60%, landing until the end of the current ultimate's action. So they are giving you a really nice 60% bump there. So you're actually going to have a 78% chance to freeze. So you actually are getting a really nice base rate there as long as you have the talents maxed out. But giving, I think, Misha a little bit of extra effect hit rate is still a very good thing to do. And then the field technique, after using it, creates a dimension that lasts for 15 seconds. Enemies caught in the dimension are inflicted with Dream Prison and stop their actions. Upon entering battle, it increases the hits per action for Misha's next ultimate by 2 hits. Only one dimension can exist at a time. So basically what's going to happen is as you go in, the enemies will be debuffed, and essentially your ultimate's going to start at 5 hits per action instead of 3, because this is giving you 2 extra. So with that, let's hop in. And like I said, I was actually kind of impressed with Misha, more so than I thought I would be. So I do think I may, whoops, sorry, I actually got to throw this in the right spot. There we go. Check that out there. And then they're stopped. We're going to hit them. All right, so there's going to be the debuff. That's going to essentially do that. All right, and then we're going to hop in. So they did pair him with some DOT type characters to help with some damage. So we've got Hanya doing some things here. Once again, we want to use skill points. So Misha on the left, you'll see next to his energy circle there, it says 6. So it started at 5, right? Because the ultimate has a base of 3 hits. And then we started with 2 because of the dimension. And then Hanya used a skill point. So then that made it 6. And now here, we're going to use one with Pela. And now it goes to 7. Pela is going to pop the ultimate for some defense shred. Okay. And now Misha's up, and we're going to do Misha's blast attack. And now we're up to 9 stacks. So yeah, obviously they set us up like perfectly for Misha to have the ultimate, you know, be at full stacks right when we get there. So we'll do that. And now Misha's going to be ready to go. So Misha will hit that. We're at 10 stacks. Let's hit the ultimate. And like I said, the damage on this, I was actually pretty impressed with it. Yeah, dude, 50k. And, you know, some of my runs earlier, I was hitting 60k with it. Like, that's pretty good damage for a 4-star. And remember, this Misha's talents are all going to be 8 out of 10. So, you know, you get those 10 out of 10, they're going to be looking a lot better. So we'll just keep hitting the skills, giving Misha. Now, I would want to test with Imbibitor Lune. I'm actually kind of surprised they didn't put him in this trial. But my assumption is when Imbibitor Lune eats like 3 skill points immediately, that should give him 3 stacks immediately. If it doesn't work that way, somebody can let me know in the comments. But I'm going to assume they built Misha to work very well with Imbibitor Lune because of that. I think Misha is going to work great with Sparkle, because Sparkle is going to give you extra skill points to dish out, which I also think is interesting. So we're just going to let this, and we're going to hopefully play into another Misha ultimate. Misha got a lot on getting hit there. He got a lot of energy regen off of that. So we're going to do this. We're going to do this. Keep bopping the skill points. We'll use Hanya's ultimate. Hanya's pretty cool. I have to build her up at some point. All right, so here we go. And then, yeah, we just need him to get hit. There we go. All right, let's pop it. All right, so let's see how much damage this one does. All right, so that one got 36k, but like, yeah, for a 4-star, I mean, I thought his damage was actually pretty solid. Once again, not a character I think you all need to chase, but if you're going in on the banners, I think he is a character worth building, especially if you're going to do like some disruption freeze, like team comp type of things. I think it could be a lot of fun. So anyways, guys, let me know what you think of Misha. Thanks for watching. We'll catch y'all on the next one.